Windsor isn't just a border town. It's a cash register with wheels. Whoever steers the flow over the Ambassador Bridge and through the tunnel wins. 5 names cut deepest here: the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, the Red Devils, an old Windsor bloodline, the Queensmen and the Annihilators, and a GTA export, the Dixon Bloods. They fight with colors, proxies, and corridors: Highway 401, the CN and CP rails, and the Detroit River. Police raids make the headlines. Rumors redraw maps overnight. This is a rivalry city where freight equals power and silence saves lives. Our verdict up front: Windsor stays ruthless because its border stays busy. Every truck, every hidden panel, every night run tempts someone to take a bigger risk. Tonight, we follow the money, the colors, and the documented cases, alongside what people on the street believe. We tell this through 3 lenses: the street, the official record, and the rumor. Official releases give the charges, court files give outcomes. The street supplies nicknames and motives. Never gospel, always tested. We separate allegations from findings and respect publication bans and protected identities. Windsor's story is Canada's story, told on the edge of Detroit steel and Ontario asphalt. Windsor sits at the foot of Highway 401. The highway funnels into the Ambassador Bridge and the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, 2 choke points with continental reach. Containers land in eastern ports and ride rails to the Midwest. Cars, parts, pills, and powder move the other way by truck and courier. Border checks hit hard. Smugglers adapt harder. Local crews plug into national networks. A tow yard, a bar, or a warehouse can double as a switchboard. When one lane closes, a new one lights up 2 blocks over. If you like these source-based breakdowns, hit like. It really helps the channel. Let's dive into the 5 names. The Hells Angels arrived in Windsor through a patchover in 2000, absorbing the old Lobos Club. Patchover means one club takes another's members and colors, often overnight. Their real power isn't leather and bikes, it's logistics, clubhouses, friendly bars, and support crews that extend their reach. In Canada, courts have, in specific cases, found certain chapters to be criminal organizations. Those rulings are case by case. In Windsor, the Angels' play is control. Quiet rule, steady supply, reliable tax. When headlines land, they adapt, switch phones, shift venues, and let supporters absorb the heat. Their colors are red and white. The signaling is subtle: a sticker, a crest, a charity ride that doubles as a roll call. Across the 401, the Outlaws Motorcycle Club holds historic ground from London eastward, longtime rivals to the Angels. Their creed is older, their pride deep. Ontario investigations over the years have connected individual Outlaws members to trafficking and intimidation. Outcomes vary by case. Their Windsor influence is less clubhouse and more corridor, friends, cousins, and old loyalties along the Trans-Canada spine. Where Angels prefer quiet control, the Outlaws sometimes telegraph defiance. Either way, both sides watch the bridge. Whoever moves product with fewer jams sets the week's prices. Enter the Red Devils, a known support club for the Hells Angels. Support means errands, soft intimidation, event security, courier runs, and showing the flag when full patch shouldn't appear. Arrest files in Ontario have placed Red Devils alongside Angels on drug and weapon cases. Some counts stick, some don't. In Windsor, their presence means more eyes, more bodies, and a buffer between pressure and leadership. Before today's map, Windsor rode with the Queensmen, a local club with a rough reputation. That lineage morphed through the Annihilators era, older southwestern Ontario history with a ruthless stamp. They intersected with bigger brands and feuds, feeding today's loyalties and grudges. Their patches are rare now, but the echo remains. Older players, old scores, stories told at closing time. Then came the GTA plugins. The Dixon Bloods, sometimes called Dixon City Bloods, grew in Toronto's West End and pushed outward. In 2013, Project Traveler targeted that network for guns and cocaine. Raids and warrants reached Windsor, showing how a city like this becomes both a customer base and a doorway. The Dixon model mixed guns, pills, and powder, turning rental cars and condos into moving offices. They weren't bikers. They were adapters, street phones that could light up a border lane with a single call. Years later, smaller crews still copy the template. Fast turnover, little hierarchy, limited loyalty. On the other side stand the specialists. Ontario's Biker Enforcement Unit tracks outlaw motorcycle clubs in their events. The OPP and Windsor Police run joint projects, from drug interdictions to auto theft rings. The CBSA screens trucks, couriers, and cars at the bridge and the tunnel. The RCMP carries federal files. Toronto Police handle GTA nodes. When they combine intelligence, warrants, and timing, networks crack. Here's the spine of the story. Hells Angels versus Outlaws. They don't always brawl in public. The smarter war is supply and tax. Pressure a bar owner to host your run. Place a friendly face at a tow yard or a warehouse. Control a slice of the courier chain and make the other side pay extra. Rumor says neutral ground is shrinking. The record shows that charges rise when turf heats up. Whoever moves the quietest often wins the week. Every few years, a raid lands like a hammer. Leaders step back, prospects step up. Some clubs absorb stragglers, others retreat to safer cities. A conviction here, an acquittal there. Chess pieces move quietly. Vacuum attracts ambition. New names appear on patches. Old names fade into businesses that prefer cash only. Now, the set pieces. Overnight in 2000, Windsor's biker map flipped. The Lobos gave way to the Hells Angels. Clubhouses changed hands. Phone numbers didn't, but the answers did. Vendors learned new rules. Holdouts kept their pride, but business bent toward red and white. Police marked plates and faces. The change looked calm, but it was a full rewire. Contacts, taxes, territory. Because a patchover isn't just fabric, it's a social contract. It's who gets to call a meeting, who gets to tax the party, who gets to settle a dispute with a nod instead of a bottle. The street version says cash and promises smoothed the deal. The public record shows a patchover, not a war. No cinematic shootout, no citywide panic, just quiet math, new loyalties. Old grudges folded into new rules. The fallout was simple. Windsor became an Angels beachhead. Rivals adjusted down the 401. Support clubs bloomed to handle the gray zone work, the we're not them layer that still keeps the machine moving. And Windsor is the kind of place where a machine matters. A border town is always a ledger. Traffic in, traffic out. People crossing for work, for shopping, for a night out, for family. Trucks rolling like a heartbeat. If you can influence that rhythm, even slightly, you can print money without ever looking like you're doing anything at all. That's the real power. Not chaos, but control that feels like routine. Dawn, 2013. Project Traveler hit Toronto, and Windsor too. The target was a Dixon Bloods network using apartments and parking lots as hubs. Teams stacked at doors. Rams, commands, cuffs, evidence bags, phones, cash, powder, paperwork. Cameras chased Toronto's big story, but Windsor's inclusion was the quiet reveal. This city is a node, not a backwater, not a side quest, a node. Because networks don't need every city to be a headquarters. They just need dependable waypoints, places where a short lease doesn't draw attention, places where a rental car doesn't look suspicious, places where faces change fast and nobody asks why. Some charges stuck, others were reduced or dismissed. Street phones went dark, new SIMs lit up. The playbook spread. Flexible crews, disposable relationships, constant motion. And if you're law enforcement, that's the nightmare. You don't dismantle a pyramid. You chase a swarm. By 2023, another lane lit up. Stolen vehicles. Project Fairfield traced luxury SUVs from driveways to shipping lanes. GPS pings led to stash houses and industrial lots. VIN swaps, forged titles, and container loads waited in holding yards. Late-night tows looked routine. Inside, teams stripped modules and prepped exports. Arrests followed. Photos showed long rows of recovered trucks. It wasn't a biker badge. It was organized theft using Windsor as a launch pad. A reminder that money here comes in many uniforms. And that's the Windsor lesson. The crime doesn't always announce itself with a patch or a color. Sometimes it shows up in clean hands and paperwork. Sometimes it's a clipboard, a key fob, a warehouse lease, and someone who knows exactly which questions not to ask. Exports dipped briefly. Insurance investigators flooded files. Within months, imitators adjusted the method. That's the other constant. Pressure creates evolution. Every big case teaches two audiences at once, the public and the next crew. Then came two shocks in 2025. First, the OPP called a Windsor fentanyl seizure its largest, 46 kilograms, a body count prevented. Around the same period, CBSA officers at the Ambassador Bridge pulled a truck into secondary and found 187.5 kilograms of cocaine concealed in cargo. Both cases underscored Windsor's role as a drug logistics artery. Not just a place where drugs show up, a place where the route itself is the product. Investigators tracked shipments and suspects across rentals, motels, and industrial parks. They watched patterns instead of people. Who meets whom? Who rents what? Who suddenly changes vehicles? Who can't explain their own calendar? At the bridge, inspections escalated until packages appeared. Pressed, wrapped, weighty. Police statements hinted at links to established criminal organizations, without naming names, while charges moved through court. On the street, people said a major plug went silent overnight. Wholesale prices wobbled. Couriers went to ground. Everyone got cautious at the same time, which is its own kind of proof. And in a border city, silence is loud. When the usual guys stop showing their faces, when the usual middlemen stop answering, when the usual friend of a friend suddenly isn't available, it ripples. Not just through crews, but through neighborhoods, through clubs and after-hour spots, through the people who aren't gangsters, but still live near the heat. Store owners, bouncers, ride-share drivers, parents listening for sirens and pretending they aren't. The business end of crime doesn't care about your myths. It cares about supply, risk, and who's disciplined enough to wait. After the glossy evidence photos, the grind begins. Disclosure, motions, charter arguments. Some counts stick, others fall. A few defendants plead to lesser charges. Some walk on rights violations. Publication bans protect identities at bail and preliminary stages. Witness safety orders lock down addresses and faces. Crown theory is profit and control. Defense argues overreach and unreliable informants. Juries rarely see the full street picture, only the file on the table. That gap matters, because the street story is messy and continuous, but court is a snapshot. 1 month of wire, one stop, one set of messages interpreted like scripture. And if you're the Crown, you're trying to turn chaos into a clean narrative. Who led, who helped, who knew. If you're the defense, you're trying to turn the narrative back into fog. Coincidence, contamination, exaggeration, the informant who hates you, the officer who assumed too much. Meanwhile, the city keeps moving. Trucks keep rolling. The corridor keeps humming. The calendar doesn't pause for a trial date. As of 2025, the Hells Angels and the Outlaws remain the poles of Windsor's biker gravity. The Red Devils continue to fill the middlework in Ontario, according to police characterizations. The Queensmen and Annihilators survive mostly as a cautionary legacy, proof that the city's roots run mean. Street crews rotate in and out. The Dixon Bloods made a blueprint, others still copy it. Names shift, alliances bend, and the faces on the corners change with the seasons. But the incentives don't. What endures is the corridor, the bridge, the tunnel, the 401, and the river. Remove those, and Windsor quiets. Feed them, and someone bold and reckless steps up. That's not romance, it's economics. You don't need to run a city to make a fortune off a city. You just need to tax the right choke points, keep your circle tight, and stay boring enough to last. So here's the button. As of 2025, Windsor's ruthlessness isn't about body counts. It's about the promise of tomorrow's load. It's about how quickly an opportunity becomes a pipeline, and how fast a pipeline attracts predators. The city lives on traffic. So do the crews who tax it. Police will score wins. Rumors will fill gaps. Courtrooms will argue over inches and minutes. And the bridge will keep humming. An endless bet between risk and reward, played out in silence, paperwork, and the dark space between one crossing and the next. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more Canadian crime files.